watch and rock. All the faces you should see come alive on Chiefs 360.
Good morning, Sequoia. This is Ava Roberts.
And I'm Max Swain, coming to you live from Chiefs 360.
Welcome to our Patriots Day episode. Today we are going to be looking back on the events of September the 11th, 2001.
We realize that as students, none of us were born when these events took place, but it's still important to never forget.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now observe a moment of silence.
Here's some announcements before we begin. DECA will meet tomorrow morning in room 1225 from 7:30 to 8:05. Multiple competitive online testing events will be announced here.
For ladies interested in playing golf for Sequoia, there's a QR code outside Coach Williams' room at Sequoia East 103 that will have important info for the season.
The link for the homecoming court ballot was sent to your school email this morning. Voting closes at the end of school today, so make sure you read the instructions on how many people to vote for in your grade. Seniors, as a reminder, the last day to submit a senior ad is October 31st, so please let your parents know.
Diversity Club will not be able to meet this Thursday this week as discussed in last week's meeting. Please plan to meet on Friday in Mr. Ramsey's room at 7:45.
All entry participation in the homecoming parade must be submitted to Angie Geiger by Friday, September 27th.
Let's send it to our Chiefs 360 sports specialist, Jake Jawa, for a quick sports recap.
Good morning, Sequoia, and happy Wednesday. We're finally halfway through the week, so let's get to the news. We start things off in the future as JV and freshmen take on Sprayberry tomorrow. JV plays away after going 3-0 and beating Etowah last week 56-20. Freshmen play at home against Sprayberry and also stay 3-0 and hopes to move to 4-0 as well. With wins from both teams, it can be the first time all football teams were undefeated 4 games into the season. For varsity, they take on Sprayberry and hopes to go 5-0 this Friday. More on that game later in the week. Volleyball played against Woodstock on Tuesday and swept the 19-4 Wolverines, who are also the 18th best in the state. The Chiefs, who are 11th ranked in the state, play Lassiter away on Thursday as they look to keep their 5-game winning streak alive, not allowing any sets since August 20th. Softball lost against Pope last night, and despite the bad loss, they look to continue their fight for region. They don't have another region game until we come back from break, but after that, 5 of the last 7 are. As they look to make it back to playoffs, their next game is tomorrow versus River Ridge. That's it for me. Let's bring it back to Max and Ava.
Now let's hear from our studious weatherman, Blaine Zabinden.
Good morning, Sequoia. I'm Blaine Zabinden with your forecast. Right now, we're sitting at a mild 65 degrees with mostly cloudy skies and a 0% chance of rain. It's going to be an overcast day, but no precipitation is expected. We'll see our high reach 82 around 4 p.m., so it'll warm up a bit later in the day. Be mindful of the UV index, which will peak at 5 around 1 p.m. Looking ahead to tomorrow, we're expecting a high of 74 and a low of 62 with mostly cloudy skies. However, rain will make a return to 70% chance, so be prepared for some wet weather. That's your forecast for today and tomorrow. Let's bring it back to Max and Ava in the studio.
All right, we would like to start the Patriots show with a look back on 9/11. This video comes from the 9/11 Memorial in New York City. I had the opportunity to visit this in 2022, and it was a very moving experience.
Good morning. 64 degrees at 8 o'clock. It's Tuesday, September 11th. I'm Lee Harris. Here's what's up.
Tuesday, September 11th, 2001. An ordinary day in New York City.
At 8:46 a.m., that normalcy ends suddenly when hijackers from the terrorist group Al-Qaeda deliberately crash American Airlines Flight 11 into the 110-story North Tower at the World Trade Center. First responders immediately rushed to help.
Dispatch, Camp Brown Rider 3. I'm at the World Trade Center. Yeah. I'm on the 35th floor. Okay? Okay. Just relayed to the command post. We're trying to get up. Numerous civilians at all stairwells, numerous burn injuries are coming down. I'm trying to send them down first. Apparently, it's above the 75th floor. I don't know if they got there yet, okay? Okay. Free truck and we're still heads up, all right? Okay. Thank you.
All 11 firefighters responding from FDNY Ladder Company 3, including Captain Patrick Brown, would be killed that morning. 441 first responders die as a result of the attacks, the largest loss of emergency personnel in American history. Just 17 minutes later at 9:03 a.m., it becomes clear that this is a deliberate attack when hijacked United Flight 175 crashes into the South Tower of the World Trade Center.
Thank you. Election. Oh, no, that's fine. Goodbye.
At 9:37 a.m., a third hijacked plane, American Flight 77, is flown directly into the Pentagon, headquarters of the United States Department of Defense in Arlington, Virginia. Back in Lower Manhattan, at 9:59 a.m., the unimaginable happens. The South Tower collapses. Meanwhile, a fourth hijacked plane heads toward Washington, D.C. Passengers and crew aboard United Flight 93 learn from phone calls about the attacks that have already occurred. With this information, the passengers and crew storm the cockpit. In response, the hijackers crash the plane in an empty field outside Shanksville, Pennsylvania, just 20 minutes from Washington, D.C. All aboard are killed. Back in New York City at 10:28 a.m., the North Tower collapses 102 minutes after being struck. On September 11th, 2,977 people from over 90 nations are killed.
Correspondent JT Miller had the chance to sit down with Chief Dennis Dyke to discuss his experiences on 9/11, being in the Air Force.
It was 2001. I've been in the Air Force for about 8.5 years. I got to my new duty station in Mountain Home Air Force Base, Idaho, and I was going through training, and I reported to work one day, and everybody in the office was missing. So I walked down to the break room and found everybody in our unit, all 300 people, in our break room around the TV, because it was the only TV in the unit was in the break room. And I looked at them and said, "What is everyone doing in the break room? Don't you have jobs?" And they kind of turned around and looked at me like I'd been living under a rock or something. And I looked at the TV just in enough time to see the second tower get hit. And from that moment, we knew that it was not a random act, a random misfire by a pilot, like somebody didn't pass out. Because originally we thought that maybe a pilot had a mistake in the air, that they passed out or had a heart attack or something like that when the first tower got hit. That's pretty much what everybody thought, that it was an accident. Well, when the second tower got hit is when we knew it was not an accident and it was intentional. And from that moment, for 2 weeks straight, we went on 24/7 lockdown at our unit. We weren't allowed to go home. We had to sleep underneath our desks. We had to have food brought into us, and we had to go to our Class 6 to get toothpaste and toothbrushes and contact solution because we weren't allowed back home. Everybody had to call their landlords or their apartment owners to say, "Look, we're on base. We're locked down for 2 weeks. We're not allowed to come back there. So if we're missing anything or you don't see us, it's not that we abandoned our apartment. We just can't leave base." And then that's when Operation Noble Eagle started, watching over the skies of North America. And we were on duty 24/7.
Now for a different perspective from the family of Michael Buckle. Michael interviewed his mom and grandmother about how they experienced 9/11.
September 11th, 2001 is a day I'll never forget. I was a sophomore in high school, sitting in math class, when our principal came over the intercom and announced that one of the Twin Towers had been hit by a plane.
I had gotten to work that morning about 8 o'clock, and my work phone was ringing, and it was my mother on the other end letting me know what had happened, that the first plane had hit the tower, and because we had a cousin that actually worked there in the tower.
My teacher quickly rushed to put the news on, and as my classmates and I sat and watched the news shortly after we saw the second tower get hit.
And that's when we knew that we were under attack. With having a family member there, we spent the entire next few days glued to the TV. We did realize after a few days later that he had been lost.
Several parents started checking their kids out of school, and not long after that, I was checked out of school and went home and sat and watched the news with my parents on the couch. It was one of the scariest days of my life.
And now for a new segment to leave this Patriots Day show called Sequoia Sizzle. Your Sequoia High School Family and Consumer Science class has created the ultimate patriotic dish.
Today we're making individual apple pies.
Well, there really is nothing more patriotic than apple pie. All right, Max, let's try them out.
All right, let's do it.
Here we go.
Whoa, they're soft.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are really good.
Very good. Okay, to end today, instead of a joke, we have a quote from my favorite president, John F. Kennedy. He says, "Change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future."
That wraps up our episode for today.
Have a great day,
And go Chiefs.
Finding Hero on Chiefs 360.